Hi, my name is Alexandra Braaksma. I am a realtor, licensed realtor in the state of Iowa with Skogman Realty here in Cedar Rapids, and I office in Hiawatha. I'm coming to you today to talk to you about becoming a realtor and what it's like in a day in my life. The first and number one thing I will say is that it is pronounced realtor and not realtor or realtor. That's a common misconception, and all of us in the industry will correct you right out the gate. So, realtor, not realtor. Welcome to today in my life as a licensed real estate agent in the state of Iowa. One great thing about becoming a real estate agent in either Iowa or whatever state you choose is that license is good all over the state. You do have to be affiliated with a brokerage. I chose to license and affiliate myself with Skogman Realty. There are multiple options available for you to choose from, but that's where I just felt like I had the best fit and what felt like home. And one thing that I'll just kind of start out talking about is kind of the education requirements. I really enjoy the fact that real estate is a profession you can enter into at any age as long as you're 18. So you can actually take your exam at age 17. You just need to turn 18 years old within 6 months of passing that exam. Your scores are only good for 6 months. And then you also have to do a background check. So the timing of those and getting your paperwork all submitted has to line up just right. So you can test and become a real estate agent at 18, day one of 18. Some of the additional education requirements, you do have to take a 60-hour licensing course that can be done either in person or it can be done online. I chose to take the online option because it just worked better for my schedule with my family. I was still working a full-time job, and it just made it easier for me to take those courses in the evening. And then it was kind of at my own pace. So if I needed to spend some additional time on some of the specific topics, then I could. And once I understood it, I would test out of that chapter and then move on. So it may have taken me a little less or a little more than 60 hours. Some states do require that you have an actual timed 60 hours in that course, and then some states don't. Iowa is one where once you finish the material, then you're done. So as long as you test out of every chapter, you can move forward onto your actual state exam. There's also an additional 36 hours of education required that is in-person learning. 12 hours is allotted for buying practices, 12 hours for listing practices, and then 12 hours for professional development and ethics. You can take those courses before or after you take your exam. I chose to take them before. I felt like any information I could get from somebody who's already been through it would be helpful for me in taking the exam. I did not want to have to take it twice. There's continuing ed requirements after licensing that you'll need to adhere by and things like that. But to get yourself started, you just need to go through the 60-hour course, the 36 hours of additional learning, and then pass the exam, and then also the FBI background check. So just making sure everything's on the up and up there. What drew me to real estate was a lot of it had to do with flexibility and being my own boss. I do not like being micromanaged, and this allows for me to be in charge of my daily routine and what I need to do. I'm a very social person, and so this particular industry plays very well into my social skill set. One benefit of really starting real estate young is that it's all about working your sphere of influence. So if you are young in your early 20s and you're thinking about buying a home and your friends are talking about buying a house, or maybe even starting a business and needing a commercial space, that's a great time to get started, especially that 23, 24 timeframe when really it's on the people's minds about buying their first home. That's a great foothold into starting a really successful career in real estate. Um, I love to talk to people that I know, people that I don't know. I'm constantly prospecting. So going out to the grocery store is a prospecting opportunity. I wear my name tag a lot of the places that I go. Sometimes my family gives me a hard time that I don't take it off. But if I don't do that, then people don't know I'm a real estate agent. Being in the grocery line, just someone seeing around here, at least the name Skogman, they'll be like, oh, you're in real estate. And then it just sparks this conversation and I get to hand out a card. That's all it takes, honestly, to get a sale sometimes, is just people knowing that that's what you do. A couple skills that you'll definitely have to hone in on. I mentioned being your own boss. So being a self-starter, being motivated every day to get up and do what you need to do. Really scheduling out what you need to accomplish and then being willing to actually do it. I do take time off and days off, but sometimes it's just a couple hours here and there, and then I get back to what I'm doing. Um, I do like the flexibility in order to be able to pick up my children from school and drop them off every day. It's been really nice when there's sick days or a snow day. I have the flexibility in my schedule to make that work. And usually a showing can wait or be pushed around half hour, 45 minutes to accommodate whatever else might be going on in my life or someone else's life. Um, I know that it sounds like real estate is probably about sales, but it's all about customer service. And that's a huge thing for me. I really love customer service. I like helping people and making an impact. I do not like sales. So, I mean, that kind of sucks. But the good news is, real estate is not about sales. It's about taking the burden off the plate of someone who wants to buy a home and making that process as easy as possible for them. I don't actually make any decisions in their home buying process. I give them all their options and then they decide what they'd like to do and how they'd like to move forward. I do explain a lot of the technical terms of a real estate contract. I make sure that the dates are adhered by. We follow everything we need to, and I really shoulder that burden for them, and it makes the process a lot easier for my clients, either buyers or sellers, just that they don't have to worry about whatever they feel like might be a problem. I've usually solved that problem before it gets to them. That leads me to the next skill. Always be a problem solver. So thinking ahead a few steps ahead of everybody else, or thinking a few steps ahead of your clients. So if a problem does come up, they don't need to know that there was a problem. Or if you're going to tell them about it, explain, here's the problem and here's some solutions that I've already thought of for you. What do you think about this? I really like that challenge. I worked an office job for several years and it got really boring, to be honest with you. I was doing quality work, checking people's contracts to make sure that everything was um, done correctly. And I enjoyed that actual work and the attention to detail. However, what I did not enjoy was that it felt the same every day. Real estate changes with every transaction. Everyone's scenario is a little bit different. Every house sold is a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you a few things that I do every day. Um, so, the first thing I'll show you here is kind of what my calendar looks like. I mentioned that you have to be able to be a self-starter, so I have time scheduled out every day to check my emails. I try to schedule this for after I've dropped my children off at school, and I just allot 15, 30 minutes or so to just go through those emails. This is a pretty light week. I've actually taken some time for myself this week. Here I've got a couple meetings scheduled at my office. I scheduled out some time to do some social media planning. So with real estate, a lot of it is keeping your name in front of people. I don't always have time during the day to go in and plan my social media posts. So I schedule them out. And this is a great way to do that. And here's my little video project for you guys. One of the pages that I utilize a lot and that I suggest my customers visit is my website through Skogman. And what this does is it allows people to come to my page and type in their address, and maybe they want to know the value of their home, so they can do that, or they can do a search to buy or sell. I've given a quick little background about who I am and where I came from and how I got into real estate, and then my listings. So this is a really great place for people to see what's going on with me. And then obviously they can click over to any of my social media pages. Um, what else can I tell you about? A quick little day in and day out of what I do. Um, this is the MLS, the multiple listing system. A lot of people have visited this anytime you search for a home. This is how we organize it. So to give a quick little rundown, when I get a listing, I have to go in and find all of the technical information related to this particular property, enter this into the system, you schedule photos. Once those photos are scheduled, they get taken, you upload them to the system, and that's how people see the photos associated with a property. You get to be creative and write out a description for the property. So using your thesaurus really and getting the best image across to people. Sometimes there aren't photos. So really getting those words on the paper to describe what you're selling and really draw people into the property is important. This is a listing that actually sold. So once a listing sells, all of that information is public knowledge. But that's just a quick little example of what it looks like. Kind of where I spend a lot of my time during the day. Either I'm putting in information to sell something or I'm reading this information for someone to buy. What else can I tell you about real estate? Some of the things I love, I really, again, enjoy the flexibility in my schedule every day, but at the same time, that provides some challenges. You are on all the time. What that means is I could get a call from a client any time of day. I could get a text message any time of day. A lot of the times, I set time aside to not take those calls and not respond to those text messages. I also set that precedent with my clients when I meet them. I'm going to be unavailable during X and X time. Or, hey, I'm going to be away from my computer and office for 2 days. What can I do for you now? Or do you have any questions that I can help answer prior to me not being available? People are generally really respectful of that time. And yeah, but sometimes you get those messages, and then we're in a market right now where you don't have time to wait around. So sometimes I make some exceptions and move my schedule. And my family is understanding of that because they understand that maybe me moving my schedule now means that I can be there for them later. But yeah, so just a quick little recap. I love real estate because it's flexible. I like that you can get started really at any time as long as you're 18. It allows me to be social with people I know and don't know, and work my sphere of influence to get sales. You have an unlimited earning potential. So there's no one stopping you from making money in this industry. It's how much effort you want to put behind it. It's very commonly said that the amount of hours you put into it will reflect your paycheck. If you want to work 5 hours a week, then work 5 hours a week, but don't expect to make a significant amount of money. If you work 40 hours a week, you can expect a pretty decent income. You have to be able to do what you need to do, though, to get that. Never stop prospecting. Some things you could probably do now to keep yourself, if this is something you want to do, things you could be doing in school now. Focusing on math. I do a lot of math on a daily basis. Psychology. Real estate is all about psychology. So understanding how people think, why they think the way they think, negotiations and things like that. That's always a huge thing to be thinking about. Another reason I love real estate, and ultimately the most exciting thing for me, is that it changes every day. Every transaction is different. And if you're looking for something that's not repetitive and boring, then this is definitely it. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Alexandra Braaksma, and if you have questions about being in real estate, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always available to answer questions and would love to see you guys. So have a great day. Thanks.